Hi, good morning. Welcome to our first Monday Convocation, sponsored by NGAS Clusters 7 and 8 under the audit supervision of RSA's Bim Ponce and Cute Perdan. This is Gigi Torino, OIC RSA of SIGAS 1, 2, and 4. Today, I'll discuss to you about the common mistakes in writing the AOM.
Don't say evidences, say evidence. Evidence is an uncountable noun and is not used in the plural. You say, the judge listened to all the evidence. Don't say, the judge listened to all the evidences. Evidence is always followed by a singular verb. The evidence is very clear. Is it resulting in or resulting to? There is no difference in meaning. It's simply that one is correct and the other is not.
Is it regard or regards? The singular regard is correct in phrases like with regard to and in regard to, where these phrases mean with reference to, while the plural regards means good wishes expressing respect, affection, or condolences. For example, the bank manager has called in regard to, not in regards to, the missing deposits. With regard to, not with regards to, my recent deposit in the bank, I have completely deposited the same. The auditor passed along his regards, not regard, to the officers attending the entrance conference. For the peso sign, write P instead of PHP. Capital M is the abbreviation for the English word million and is capitalized to distinguish it from M, 1,000. Guideline for quotations. If the quotation is long, do not use quotation marks and do not italicize anymore. Rather, set it out as an indented quote. Kung sa atin pa, kung ipagitna natin yung ating quotation, huwag na natin lagyan ng quotation mark at huwag na natin itong i-italicize. Another example, notice that the quotation marks are removed and the text are no longer italicized. If the quotation is short or not more than 3 sentences, put open and close quotation marks and italicize. For example, kung sa atin pa, kung kinote natin na text ay hindi lalampas ng 3 to 4 sentences, pwede nating idugtong sa sentence at lalagyan na natin ito ng open and close quotation marks at ipinakatay ito. To emphasize or underscore quotations, put open and close parentheses after the quoted text and type emphasis supplied or underscoring supplied or highlight hours. Writing numbers and numerals. Numbers from 1 to 9 should be written out as words. From 10 onwards, put them as Arabic numerals. That's simple and it makes written numbers easier to read. Use of slash. When a slash signifies alternatives between only 2 words, do not use spaces before or after. For example, Conjunctive adverbs. A conjunctive adverb connects two independent clauses or sentences. Typically, adverbs modify, describe other words, verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. For example, thus, hence, thereby, therefore. Adding a comma after thus is not correct because thus is an adverb. The comma after an adverb is not necessary. Just as we modify, describe a noun, we do not put comma after an adjective. Conjunctive adverbs such as thus, hence, thereby, therefore must be followed with a verb in a progressive tense, thus raising questions, hence casting doubts, thereby rendering the accounts, therefore resulting in. The accountable officer's accountability is insufficiently bounded due to centralized processing thereof, as she was merely given a copy, contrary to the applicable sections of Treasury Circular and PD 1445, thus exposing the agency to risk of non-recovery of the full amount of loss of public funds in case of breach of fidelity or other untoward incidents, or in the amount of 11 million, the highest amount among the end-of-day cash accountabilities in her custody. Of manner, time, frequency should be followed with a verb. Adverbs of manner such as appropriately, properly, closely, strongly, carefully, strictly, etc. Adverbs of time such as immediately, directly, promptly, etc. Adverbs of frequency such as regularly, consistently, systematically, etc. should be followed with a verb, an action word. You say immediately deposit instead of deposit immediately. You say closely monitor instead of monitor closely. To must be followed with a present tense verb. Say to finish instead of to finished. Say to follow instead of to followed. The date is complete, use on, if only a year or a month, use in. Do, does, did should take a present tense plural verb. You say did not replace instead of did not replaced. Say does it take. Don't say does it takes. Say do not make instead of do not makes. Use the article the when you are referring to two different persons. You say the accountant and the cashier instead of the accountant and cashier. Meaning of concerned employees is not the same as employees concerned. Please do not interchange. You say the officer or officers concerned instead of the concerned officer or officers. Note that a job order worker has no employer-employee relationship, so don't say job order employee. Don't say that auditors are allowed to conduct the physical count on inventory or PPE. Say that auditors are allowed to witness the physical count on inventory or PPE. If your margin setup is in inches, please convert to centimeters by multiplying it by 2.54.
Just multiply inches by 2.54 and you get centimeters.
Appropriate expression to use with a form. Fill up means to make something full, generally with a liquid. Since it cannot hold liquid, it is not appropriate to use fill up. The appropriate expression to use with a form is fill in or fill out. Even though in and out are opposites, fill in and fill out both have the same meaning. In writing the AOM, we are required to be courteous. Hence, using in violation of in the sentence should be replaced with contrary to, contravened, or inconsistent with. Please spell out the first time you use an acronym. Examples of an acronym: BTR or Bureau of the Treasury, PhilJEPS or Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System. So, mag-review muna tayo ng 5 C's of AOM. Number 1, criteria. The should be the appropriate standards used by the auditor, which may be derived from laws, rules, regulations, and or prescribed policies. Number 2, condition. The actual practice which violated the prescribed applicable criteria. The what happened. The action, inaction, or inadequacy of action of management as measured against applicable criteria. The situation prevailing in the agency at the time of the audit. Example, non-submission, incomplete submission, non-adherence, non-establishment, non-recording, non-conduct, the lack of, non-observance, irregular utilization of, absence of, etc. Number 3, cause. The reason or root cause why the condition existed and should be corrected and permanently eliminated through process improvement. Example. Yan sa sentence, tingnan nyo lang yung due to centralized processing thereof as she was merely given a copy. Yan yung cause. Number 4, consequence. The effect, the impact and consequence of the condition. It is usually written in conjunctive adverbs with progressive verbs, thereby resulting in, thus understating, hence defeating, etc. Example, tingnan lang yung red ink, yung thus exposing the agency to risk of non-recovery of the full amount of loss of public funds in case of breach of fidelity or other untoward incident, or in the amount of 11 million, the highest amount among the end-of-day cash accountabilities in her custody. Interchanging condition with consequence. Non-observance of the procedures required under Memorandum Number AO 95-01-004 on the proper warehouse operations to mitigate and or prevent pest infestation contravene the said memorandum and the warehouse operation manual because the supervisor failed to enforce the same, such as the regular conduct of inspection to detect infestation, repair of warehouse damages, among others, thereby exposing the stocks, rice to pests, fire, and other hazards, and adversely affecting the quality of stocks, rice in the total amount of 3 million something. What is the condition? Is it the non-observance of the procedures, or is it the pest infestation and fire hazards? Please note that both non-observance of the procedures and pest infestation are conditions. In choosing the condition, you have to consider the prevailing practice. Pest infestation cannot be the condition. By definition, the condition is the prevailing practice of the agency. Pest infestation is not a practice, because it came about due to the failure of the supervisor to enforce warehouse operations. Number 5, corrective action or recommendation. The courses of action to address the cause or remedy the deficiencies noted should address the cause and or effect. Please do not forget that there should be a recommendation for the cause and for the effect. For example, if the cause is due to non-approval of funding to secure the office from unauthorized entry, the recommendation is continue to include in the budget proposal the improvement of the cashier's office, which would separate the collecting officer from other employees and the transacting clients to prevent unauthorized entry of the same. So if the consequence or effect is thus exposing monies to possible theft and or loss, the recommendation is to include in the budget proposal the installation of the security monitoring device or CCTV as a preventive measure against any untoward incidents. Another example, ito po yung presentation ng 5 C's in the AOM. Ngayon, pansinin natin yung condition or your finding, yung deposit of collections where partial instead of intact and frequency of deposit not observed. Tapos, pansinin natin yung recommendation. Ng recommendation sa cause, meron siyang recommendation for the cause and meron din siyang recommendation for the consequence. This is the last slide. This is about putting amount in the topic sentence for easier consolidation of audit observations. Pansinin natin yung text in red ink. Maglagay dapat tayo ng amount, especially kasi yung audit observation about non-banding. Karamihan hindi na maglagay ng amount. Thank you. No pain, no gain. No tax, no glory.